Hey guys, welcome to another segment here on Ball in the Boot. I'm your host Jace Lejeune. This is our second round Ball in the Boot playoff bracket breakdown, and this is the road to the dome. And we're continuing with the second round. We just have results coming off the first round. We'll go into our Division Two, actually Division One. Which one are we, guys? Yeah, Division One Select. Yeah, we're gonna make sure we go with Division One. So,
Oh,
Division One Select is what we're going with now. And yeah, we got some not as much playoff matchups compared to Division One non-select. As I'm joined by Grant Sachere of Crescent City Sports, Rigorous Sports Media, does a great job of hosting as well. Friday nights in the Bayou, which I join with Grant every Friday night to break down all the scores coming in after every Friday night when all the games have been done in the books. And we also join the show for the previews as well for the upcoming week. So appreciate Grant coming on alongside. We also have Alex Allison, Daryl Felker, also beat writers for us for Gridiron Football. Guys, let's go into our Division One select playoff bracket. We'll recap first round scores. We're going to start off with Hammond. They fell to Huntington. Huntington with a 34-6 convincing win over Hammond to advance to the next round. That's where they'll take on the Edna Carr Cougars, the number one overall seed in Division One select playoff brackets. We'll give our picks as well later on in the segment. This was a game I was at. St. Augustine takes on Karen Kerr. That was part of a doubleheader at Tag Gormley Stadium. That was the night game. St. Augustine was able to take advantage of 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes. Vaishon Kuan threw for 2 touchdown passes. They were in control from start to finish, winning that football game over Cancro. Congratulations to Robert Valdez getting his first playoff victory as a Purple Knights head football coach. That's an intriguing second round matchup we're going to talk about. That's St. Thomas More against the Purple Knights, number 8 versus number 9 matchup. Rumble had a bye. They'll take on McDonald 35, who got 49-9 win over Riverdale, convincing fashion for the Ron Eagles. We also have East Jefferson. They won. They defeated Bonneville. Congratulations, East Jefferson. You're taking on the Catholic High Bears. So congratulations, East Jefferson, on a great season as well. It's just an awesome season so far for the Warriors. And then we have the Veer matchup coming up as Acadiana has a bye. I was at this football game as well. John Curtis's defense stepped up, only allowed 1 touchdown in the second half against Brother Martin. The offense jumped out to a 21-7 lead, and their defense was able to make some big plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter to win a very close ball game. Another battle here in the Catholic League. John Curtis got their fifth straight win over the Brother Martin Crusaders, 21-13, to advance to take on Acadiana in the Veer game, as what we like to call. Jesuit, a trendy pick to make a deep run right here as they defeated Lafayette 45-7. That should be a great matchup against Turlings Catholic, who had a bye. St. Paul's also has a bye. They'll take on C.E. Bird, who had a 20-0 win over Woodlawn and Baton Rouge. Desmond Simmons had over 190 yards and a touchdown to help lead the way for the Yellow Jackets. And then the rematch everybody was talking about, Evangel Christian and Captain Shreve, led by Pop Houston, who had another great football game, 4 touchdowns, 400 yards of offense. Damari Drake was everywhere. Player of the Week nominee for us, 17 tackles, an interception for a touchdown, 2 touchdowns on offense, did everything for the Eagles. They get a 10-point victory over Captain Shreve, get revenge after Pop Houston had 10 touchdowns and 800 yards, and they lost last time around. So it'll be Evangel Christian against Alexandria. St. Paul's against C.E. Bird. Jesuit Throwings Catholic. Acadiana John Curtis. Catholic East Jefferson. McDonald 35 Rummel. St. Thomas More St. Aug. And Edna Carr and Huntington. So I'm going to start off with Alex first. Alex, which one? There's not many scores to recap, but which one sticks out to you the most?
yeah, this is a much chalkier round one than we were talking about with the Division One non-select, right? We saw the 17, 18, 19 seeds all pull off upsets against 14, 15, and 16. But other than that, everyone from 9 to 13, all of them won. So that helps to create a situation where I think we're going to have a lot of really interesting second round matchups potentially. Although this is a very top heavy bracket, so we'll talk about that. But the two that stick out really to me are John Curtis, picking up that win over Brother Martin. Well, other than okay, we'll talk about Evangel Captain Tree. I'll give other people, there's
Yeah,
everyone loves that. But
that one
other
came
than
out.
that one,
Remember the
other than
bracket.
that one, are John Curtis knocking off Brother Martin, another win for John Curtis, a playoff win. Uh, that's it's a Catholic League game, right? It's a Catholic League rematch where John Curtis gets another win in a row. In that, so that's always going to be important. You were at that game, Jace, and it's
Yep.
also one of the only entertaining. I think is it the only one score game the entire week in this bracket? Yeah.
Yes, it
So
was. Yep.
that's exciting. And then the other one is not an interesting game in itself, but it's an interesting result given the state of this team as a trendy pick, and that's Jesuit blowing out Lafayette. 45-7, and I mean it's a 22 seed, all that sort of stuff, but it adds fuel to the fire of a Jesuit team that people are talking about as being one of those trendy picks to make a run despite being a double-digit seed. It's going to add fuel to that fire. We'll talk about that more when we get to the Jesuit Turlings matchup. But all of these top 8 seeds that these underdogs have to face this week, all of them are scary. But if you had to face one of them, I mean, Turlings is really good, but it's not quite, playing Acadiana, right, in round
Mhm.
2.
Right.
There is it doesn't feel quite as inevitable. So we'll see, but Jesuit certainly added fuel to that fire with a big win over Lafayette, and then obviously everyone loves watching two teams that you expect to put up 100 points, put up
Yeah.
100 points combined. So Evangel Christian and Pop Houston beating Captain Troop, getting the revenge in one of the biggest games this year, in a really exciting game, an
Yeah.
interesting game, putting up 50 points as well. So yeah, those were the ones that stuck out to me.
Okay, what about you, Grant? I mean, I'm sure you're going to we'll definitely talk a lot about the Evangel game, but anything else that stuck to you from round one in this bracket?
Not really. Chase, we can kind of go up the thing. I mean, not really. I mean, everyone that was expected to win won, so
Yeah.
no biggie there. The second round, of course, is two interesting matches: St. Aug and St. Thomas More.
Hmm.
Both have very good offenses. St. Aug's defense has been suspect at times, so it'll be very interesting to see how they go up against the St. Thomas More offense is red hot right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jesuit and Turlings. Of course,
Right.
Turlings is St. Thomas More's longtime arch nemesis. They'll be going up against Jesuit, and that's a game where I think the Blue Jays have a great shot of winning. Matter of fact, I'm saying this right now. I'm picking Jesuit to beat Turlings
Yep.
Catholic, move on to the quarterfinals.
Yep. That was my pick as well. We're definitely going to go over.
Oh, also, before
Yeah.
before I don't want to forget anybody. St. Paul's and Seabird is also a very interesting
Yeah,
matchup as well.
that should be a good. That should be a good matchup too, for sure. We won't break more of it down as we get to each playoff game too. And Daryl, what about you? What stood out most from you for the first time?
Probably the game that stood out the most was the Jesuit game. I mean, as we talked about them last week, you guys were very high on them. I haven't seen them yet this season, but a 45-7 win in the first round is a statement win. And
Mhm.
as we said, they have one of, if not the most favorable second round matchup when you're
Mhm.
looking at
Perhaps, yeah.
trying to get an upset. So I mean, I've seen Turlings Catholic, but
You
any,
have seen Tromans Catholic play too,
yeah.
so you got a good idea of what this Tromans Catholic team
Yeah, and
is.
I mean they looked really good. They were going up against a rain team that wasn't the level of competition that they're going to see against Jesuit, but
Mhm.
I definitely think yeah, this big win in round 1 for Jesuit, it might have changed my mind a little bit leading into the second round.
Yeah, and that's perfect transition, guys. Let's go and make some picks for the second round Division One Select playoffs. I'm sure we're all on the same train here when we're talking about great season for Huntington. A playoff win for Stephen Dennis up there for the Raiders. Another team in that Shreveport area and everything. But hey, it's in the car, right? I mean, I'm sure y'all would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also part of, and we'll talk about this in a second. It's part of what makes the St. Aug St. Thomas More matchup a little bit less exciting than it could be because we kind of know what's coming down the barrel for the winner. But yeah, congratulations Huntington, great win over Hammond. Hey, it was a road playoff win, a win by 28 points. That's really impressive.
Yeah, and
But
Huntington's had struggles to win some of these playoff games. So that's actually a big win for Steven Dennis. So in the car, we expect them to move ahead to the quarterfinals. Now, this matchup, I've seen the St. Augustine team play. They are really good. Their quarterback can throw it. They got some weapons at wide receiver. Their defense is really good too. And Coach Valdez does a great job of, just coaching this program. The talent's always been there. Can you just get the right guy leading the way? And St. Augustine hit a home run and getting Robert Valdez to lead the program. Grant, I'm going to go with you first here. St. Augustine, St. Thomas More should be a great matchup on paper. Who do you think takes this one?
I think this would be a close game. I think St. Thomas More will pull it off. I just think St. Thomas More, they've gone far in the playoffs before. This is still a St. Aug team that is still trying to figure themselves out. This is a learning year for the whole program as you're going under a new head coach, a coach who I expect is going to win a lot of games there. However, this is still a St. Aug team that still needs to find ways to win games. They have done it so recently with three straight victories. However, 4 straight because they won 3 straight to end the regular season, so it's 4 straight. There's St. Thomas More has done it, and they are bound to do it again. Of course, with how that program's run and how much success they've had under Coach Hightower for the last 30 years, and now I guess you could say I'm gonna have to pick the Cougars to win this one. I think it will be a close one, but the Cougars I think will win this one, and I think that'll be a very interesting quarterfinal matchup between them and Carr.
Absolutely. And we're going to go with Daryl. And I believe Daryl and Alex, I believe both of y'all have seen St. Thomas More play too.
I wouldn't be shocked if we said something very similar here about this team, but yeah.
Daryl, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw St. Thomas More. I think it was week 2 when they faced off against Catholic, and that was a really big game for them. And even though it was early on in the season, I was expecting more from them. They didn't really show up in the way that I thought they were going to, but since then they've really turned things around, started winning a lot more, offense is producing, and as Grant said, they're kind of red hot right now. So it's tough because I saw St. Aug against Edna Carr, who, as we said, I mean, they're probably the clear favorite. So, but they didn't look absolutely horrible in that game. They had a few sparks. They showed a few glimpses, and I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm going to roll with St. Aug on the road.
Okay. With the upset there, was saying, and they're coming off a very dominant performance. They left no stone unturned. They dominated that game. I guess you could talk about their seeding and everything about sneaking in, but that's a pretty talented Karen Crow team. And then Alex, go ahead with your pick as well, because I know you.
So I mean, So Daryl and I saw St. Thomas More in back-to-back weeks. He watched them in week 2 when they lost to Catholic, very low-scoring game against Catholic. Then I watched them the next week when they lost to Acadiana, also a really good team, also pretty low-scoring. That's a game where they didn't score an offensive point. And both of our takeaways was St. Thomas More known for having really successful offenses in the past, and I don't have. Basically, if you had told me in September, Alex, pick this game, this will be a second-round matchup in the playoffs, who are you picking? I would have taken St. Augustine in a heartbeat. I don't think it's the same team, though, that St. Thomas More is, that they were in September. I just think it's a fundamentally different team that has found what they needed on offense. They are on fire. And if it's – I also think they're the team that has a chance to make it more interesting against Edna Carr if they were to win. We already saw St. Aug play Edna Carr, so I will take St. Thomas More to win this game. I think they have figured things out. But yeah, I do think you bring up a good point. I also got a chance to see Karen Crow early in this season when they played LCA, and they lost that game. But that's a team with some talent. So beating that team by 37, that does mean a little bit. So, but I will ultimately still take St. Thomas More to win the game.
Yeah, I'm on roll with St. Thomas More. I mean, this team won back-to-back state championships, and which hasn't been done in the program's history. They've won state championships, but never done it back-to-back. Now they're trying to go for a three-peat, but this program under Jim Hightower, I mean, Shane Savoie, like they figured the offense out. Cole Barrison was playing a lot better down the stretch.
A lot better, yeah.
Yeah, playing a lot better, and they find their groove right now. And that's not what you want to do. A lot of these teams are finding their groove. St. Thomas More, they've been there, done that. St. Augustine, we'll talk about them. And Grant mentioned on Friday Nights in the Bayou plenty of times. But they're learning how to win consistently and find ways to win. Well, St. Thomas More has done it before. I know it's a younger team in terms of guys that are coming back from those state championship teams, but they've been around the program, so they know what it's about. So I'm going to go with St. Thomas More at home, especially at a place that's really tough to play at. I'm going to go with the Cougars to advance the play and the card in the next round. Rumble and McDonough 35. This is a matchup we haven't really talked as much about. We talk about the Ron Eagles with their talent too. Rumble is a sneaky pick after making the semifinals last year to make a deep run. So I'm going to go with a guy who's been really close in the Catholic League and following the Catholic League. Grant, is there any chance for Madonna 35 to pull up the upset?
No, let's skip the next 3 games. Just go straight to Turlins Catholic and a Jesuit because these next 3 games, there's no point of going over them. No point. There's 0 point. Even John Curtis. I'm sorry, John Curtis. That's obviously. Let's get this over. I'm just being serious. Like, Chase, you might as well come back to me. Okay, you guys can go for it. I'm just saying for the next 3 games, just like you guys can break it down. I'm just gonna be like, because it's gonna be such a quick answer. I'm just gonna save you guys time. Catholic's gonna win. The Rumble's gonna win. Catholic's gonna win. And KDN is gonna win. I'm just gonna say that right now. So don't.
A little bit about KDN and Curtis, but Rumble Catholic. Yeah, I mean, like great season for Jeff. Great season for Don 35. Yeah,
so
no disrespect, but I'm just trying to be real. Sure. Like I'm where's the breakdown.
One thing I do want to say about this is 2 things. First off, there's congratulations, Madonna 35. You blew out a team in the round 1. You got a playoff one. Great. Have fun with Rummel. Congratulations, East Jefferson. Have fun with Catholic. John Curtis, big win. Even them. It's Acadian as a monster right now, but. Actually, not but. This is a point supporting this. Sorry. But there's an interesting, I think in round 1 of the non-select bracket, we got a bunch of upsets. I think that sort of is a sign of things to come in that bracket. And I think the games we got in round 1 of this bracket also shows us it's a bit of a sign of things to come. The best teams didn't even play last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The top 8 seeds didn't even play, and really the top 4 seeds especially. It feels like there's a clear separation, right? And so I think we're going to get more of that, where there's just these levels of competition where if you're not in one of these tiers, if there's a tier gap, it's not going to be a very competitive game because we saw a lot of blowouts in round 1. I have a feeling we might see a lot of favorites winning fairly comfortably, maybe even blowing some of these teams out in round 2. So, I have a very similar feeling with Grant, where it's like even Acadian and John Curtis, when we talk about the game a little bit more, although I'm not as familiar with John Curtis as probably Grant or Jace are. I haven't had a chance to see him this season. But KDN is these teams are just, I think it's just a different level of competition right now, and I don't think these games will be that close.
Yeah, I saw John Curtis earlier in the season, and I mean they can hang around, but at KDN they're too much for John Curtis. They're going to pull out the win.
Yep. Just looking at it, I mean, Rumble's going to take care of business. Catholic's going to take care of business. I have a KDN winning, guys. I do. Okay. But I will make a case for John Curtis.
Okay.
John Curtis, right? JT.
The man.
I mean, it is the greatest coach of all time in high school football, and it's hard to go against him. And another thing, there's a lot of teams that struggle against this Veer offense for Acadiana. Guess who's not going to be intimidated by it? John Curtis, because guess what? They run the Veer offense too. That's all they prepare against in practice. So they're not going to be intimidated by the Veer offense. And I'm not saying they're going to win, but their defense is solid. Their defense is really good. They can make it interesting. I still have a KDM because I trust Acadian's offense way more than John Curtis's offense. But defensively, don't be surprised if this is a close game.
Yeah, it's not this Acadiana team. No, I'm not saying it won't be close. I don't think John Curtis, if this was a different Acadiana team in a different year, or maybe a different one of these, I think Acadiana is going to win the game. But I get your point. I think it's right.
I mean, I have Acadiana winning the game, but I'm just saying, John Curtis can make it interesting. But let's move ahead. But I got Acadiana as well, so I agree with you.
Also, want to say one more thing. I think it was about 35, but 35 was in Division II Select. They would move farther than the first.
Yeah, they are second round team at least.
But they were quarterfinal team last year. They upset St. Louis Catholic second round, and I think they got eliminated by I think it was one of the Lafayette schools. I think it was LCA, but But anyway, if this is a team, this team was in Division II select, they would probably definitely be a quarterfinal team. But just it's kind of the way the whole reclassification works is that they're still 4A school, but because they had a high population, they were like the very last school to get Division I select. So I just want to say that part. But moving on.
Yeah, perhaps probably the best matchup. I mean, we talked about, early on St. Augustine, St. Thomas More, but perhaps maybe the best matchup is Jesuits, Turlings Catholic. And Grant, you talked about the upset here. Give your reasons why you think the Blue Jays will pull off the upset.
I think the Blue Jays will pull off the upset just because I think, they like I said about Metro Romero, they're kind of similar. They're a 6-4 team, but they've beaten some really good teams and they lost against some really good teams. This Jesuit team has a lot of, probably all their athletes are actually on the defensive side. Their offense has some decent athletes, like they have Roman Laurie, they have a capable quarterback in Taylor Norton, but most of their best athletes are on the defense, especially on the defensive line. Will Berry is a guy that's getting a lot of offers from Ivy League schools. I think he got an offer from Air Force, I believe, too. But he's one of the bigger sleepers in the New Orleans area on the defensive line. Aaron Forstall is one of the top defensive linemen in his class. He's a sophomore. He's already gotten offers from SMU and Baylor and a couple other D1 schools as well. And he's going to quickly rise up because he's an excellent defensive lineman. But then you also you got Boom, but I don't know about that's last name. I think it's Matulowski. It's really Polish. You'll see him, but and also they have a lot of great defensive players, and I think that's what's gonna make the difference in this game. I think Turles Catholic's beat some really good teams, but I think Jesuits play against teams that are either just as good as Turlins or better than the Turlins, and they beat them. So.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick the Blue Jays to win this one and have a quarterfinal matchup against Acadiana next week.
All right, Daryl, you've seen Turlings Catholic play. You've seen Dougie Veltz and that football team play. What are your thoughts on this game? Because I know you've seen Turlings Catholic up close in person.
Yeah, they look, like I said, they were playing rain. They looked really dominant in that matchup, but coming off of a 45-7 first round win and just the level of competition that you play week in and week out in the Catholic League, I think that just that experience and just having those tough games early on in the season, I think that'll give them the edge in this game.
Okay.
And I'm going to roll with the upset. I'm going to roll with Jesuit.
You're gonna roll with Jesuit as well, and I'm gonna let Alex speak last because I got Jesuit too. I like their defense. I like how hard-nosed defensively they are. The Catholic League they play in, week out. They gave in the car one of their probably their toughest game all year long. When you think about it. So, I like this Jesuit football team. I don't think it's a great matchup for Turlings Catholic, so I'm gonna go with the Blue Jays. Alex, are you going to roll with the upset as well? Are we all picking the Blue Jays here, or are you going with Turlings Catholic?
So I might look really stupid saying this, and I'm not saying this with any level of confidence. Like this isn't, but I will go ahead and take Turlings. Turlings was a team that looked really great at the beginning of the year and kind of started to look shaky over the course of the season, as opposed to Jesuit, which is sort of not doing that on the other side of the coin. I don't know a lot about the Lafayette High School, but I'm not quite as much buying into that game in particular moving the needle because everyone blew out their 20 seeded opponents in this bracket. We're not talking about various other teams making these upsets, right? McDonough 35, and it's a different game, right? It's a different team. I think Jesuit's a lot better than McDonough 35, but that's not moving the needle in the McDonough 35 Rumble game, right? For example, and it's different, but so that doesn't change my mind a lot. It'll be a really close game. It'll be a really good game. I wonder how the bye week is going to affect Turlings, right? Is that going to, because sometimes the bye week is really helpful, sometimes it's not helpful. Sometimes it can hurt. We've seen this, Bunky's talked about this in the past. Last year they had a bye. They lost in round 2.
Yeah.
So the question is, what does this Turlings team look like after the bye week? Can they reset after the bye week, come in at home against Jesuit and win the game? I'll go ahead and take them not with a lot of confidence, but because I don't think this is as clear cut as kind of we're making it out to be. The Jesuit absolutely can win the game, and they very well might win the game. But I'll go ahead and take Turlings.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad pick, Alex. Like I said, I mean, when I saw them, I didn't see much wrong with their team. So it's not like
And I mean,
I'm looking at them like, oh, they're not good enough to beat Jesuit. I just think that maybe Jesuit might be a little bit hotter, might have that tough game experience a little bit more.
All right, guys, we're going to go to our second to last matchup. We'll break down St. Paul's, won the district championship this year. They had a bye, and they'll take on C.E. Bird. They kind of grinded their out what way C.E. Bird wants to do. Run the football, play good defense. They were able to get the job done, win 20-0. Here, I'm going to go with Grant first. St. Paul.
I don't think you will be going with Grant first.
I think Grant just took off for 1 second. He'll probably be back in.
All right,
he was too disgusted by my Turlings pick. He thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what happened, Alex. So I'll go first. I'm going to go with St. Paul's here. I like Brendan Kime. Now, Troy Willis, that's going to be an interesting development if he plays or not. But I like St. Paul's. They still got Cody Corrales. They got some weapons on the outside. I don't think C.E. Bird can put up enough offensively up with them offensively. And because St. Paul's defense is also pretty good. So I think they're an overall pretty good football team. So I expect St. Paul's to advance in the next round, despite C.E. Bird being a really good football team as well. That should be a good football game, a sneaky game to watch out for. But I'm going to go with the Wolves at home, and I like them to advance in the next round with a veteran quarterback and Brendan Kime leading the way.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen either one of these teams, so I don't have much experience to go off of. But I mean, I've heard great things about St. Paul's all year. I think Alex actually covered one of their games, so yeah, I'm going to roll with them. I think they'll be able to pull out the win.
Okay, so I was at St. Paul's. I watched them play JFK. That was a weird game.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that my judgment of St. Paul's is being clouded by the specific game I watched because it was the worst game Brendan Kime had all season. By my understanding, by a pretty decent margin.
Yeah.
I think this game will be interesting. C.E. Bird is a very different team from JFK, like a really fundamentally different team from JFK. Bird is the slow and steady. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play good defense. I'll take the upset. I'll take C.E. Bird to win.
Okay.
I'll do it. I was not super. I was not super impressed by St. Paul's in the game. Now, can C.E. Bird do on defense what JFK did to Brendan Kime? Was it just a one-off? Was it a fluke? Can Brendan Kime return to form? I don't know. But C.E. Bird is a really good defense. Can they do that? We'll see. I think it'll be interesting, and I'll go ahead and take the upset.
All right, I got you. Is Grant coming back because I can't see the screen?
No, he's still going right now.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the update on the where's Grant.
Here. We'll let you know whenever he pops back in.
All right. So in the last game, Ash and Evangel, I tell you what, pick the over 1 points because Ash can score. And so can Evangel, and it's going to be a tough game for defensive coordinators in this football game. So,
oh man,
expect that to go over. And Ash has given up a lot of points this year too. So
you know what I think. You know what I think this game is going to look like. You know what I think the score of this game is going to look like. It's going to look like Grant was at this game too. The St. Martin's Episcopal Riverside game.
Yeah.
From about a month ago, where St. Martin's put up like 37 points and it was a running clock in the fourth quarter. I think that's what this is going to look like. I think Alexandria might score on every possession in this game. Yeah. That's what Riverside did to St. Martin's Episcopal. They had 11 possessions. They scored 11 touchdowns. I think this might be something like that, where Ash wins the game like 70-44 or something, or 70-35. We might get a game that looks like that.
Yeah. Grant's back with us as well, Jason.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Before I go into a score prediction, hey, we already talked about St. Paul, C.E. Bird, Grant. Do you have a winner for that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's a toss-up. I think St. Paul's will win. Just because I think that the way that they've been playing the end of the year was phenomenal. I think Brendan Kimes took it a different level. However, I am worried about Troy Willis' situation.
Yeah,
I know Cody Cross is a great running back, and I think he's going to do a lot. He's anytime you get the ball in his hands, he's going to make something happen. But Troy Willis gives St. Paul's offense a little,
he's
he
an
gives
X
a lot of everything. He can run the ball, he can catch the ball in the backfield,
Mhm.
like he can basically do everything. So that's going to be a huge loss for St. Paul's. Maybe not so much for this game, but definitely in the quarterfinals when they will go up against Alexandria.
Okay, but you have St. Paul's advancing.
I got St. Paul's winning Seabirds, but I think this will be a close game. And then we got our Evangel Christian and
They were just
Alexandria.
talking about when you walked in. So I said,
Oh well, Alexandria's going to win. I'll just say
But,
that.
yeah.
I think Evangel. I think this would be a high scoring game. Definitely take the over, but Alexandria's winning.
Grant. Hear this comparison. I said it might look a lot like the Riverside St. Martin's game that we were both at.
That's exactly what it's going to look like. Yeah.
Where St. Martin's put up points, Harlan Berry did his stuff, Pop Houston will do his thing, but Ashland might score on every possession. They might score a touchdown every time they touch the ball.
Yeah. JT Lynch is a great back, but they could throw it too. I mean,
Carson Sellers didn't throw an interception until week 10.
Yeah, they can throw it, and two of their receivers are both committed to our bowl game, and Jared Washington and Jimmy Duncan. So like they can score. So that should be a fun game to cover. But I got Ash advancing to the next round. So does anybody disagree with that? Does anybody have Pop Houston popping off against against the Trojans?
Nah.
All right, guys. So that's going to be a Division I select playoff breakdown, and we'll make sure to do this every single week. Make sure go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. We'll cover a lot of these games on our website as well. So make sure to check it out, and also make sure to check us out on Ball in the Boot. This is a Division Division I select playoff bracket, and we'll make sure to join us for the next playoff breakdown.